Welcome to the Financial Edge. I'm Erin Kennedy. What is a good monthly retirement income? We all want to know. Today's guest, Chris Hoffman. Chris is the founder of Hoffman Financial Group, an Atlanta area firm that focuses on preparing people for a successful and happy retirement. Chris is also the popular radio show host of Money Unleashed, and Hoffman Financial Group is the official partner of the Georgia Bulldogs. Chris, it's so good to see you.
Great to see you.
Let's start with some data here.
All
According
right.
to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average annual expenses for people 65 plus in 2023 was just over $60,000.
Okay.
That comes out to about $5,000 a month. We all love to live and die by these numbers, but no two people are alike in what they need. So let's walk through prompts so people at home can figure out what their number should be.
Okay.
And number one, you need to picture your ideal retirement. Why is that?
That's right. So in retirement, I break it down into a 30-year period at least. Let's hope we live longer. But the first 10 years is when we want you to enjoy your life and live your best retirement life. You're the youngest you're going to be, you're the healthiest you're going to be, and hopefully you've filled that economic bucket, those liquid assets, and you can live your best life. So it's important to organize your financial planning in retirement, not around the total assets that you have. That's often talked about by the big box firms, right? It's, well, I need $1.5 million to retire. I need $1.9 million to retire. And that number moves all the time. The key number to ask yourself is, how much income do I need annually? Not just to live a good life, but to live a great life. Not just the basic living expenses, but the trips, the travel, spoiling the grandkids, whatever your wishes and desires are. So you want to sit down with your financial advisor, talk about your lifestyle. I do something called a Replace My Paycheck challenge for everybody who calls us. That Replace My Paycheck challenge is, we ask, how much does your employer deposit into your checking account monthly? And then we times it by 12. And then it's our task and our mission to replace that and beat that number. So Social Security, a pension, possibly an income annuity if you don't have a pension, dividends, fixed income products, structured notes or bonds. There's a lot of things you can invest in, and you've done a great job building your financial life over a 30-year working time frame. You've got to lever all of that and put together 4 or 5 different income streams that you can use in retirement that are either highly reliable or guaranteed. That's the key.
Right. And I'm glad you got into those specifics, because prompt number 2 is track your expenses now so you know what you're spending so that you can build that income plan. But I don't think a lot of people like doing this, right?
I was going to say, would it surprise you that that's the one question we ask them, that they have no idea?
What they're spending.
If it's a family, a husband and wife, they'll look at one another and go, I don't know.
Do you know?
We know how much we make,
Yes.
right? We know we make $150,000 or $250,000 a year. We know how much we take home after contributing to 401ks, but it is trickier. And a lot of folks that we meet with for the first time will say things like, well, yes, we had that $10,000 or $20,000 additional event, but that won't ever happen again. It's always going to happen. It's just part of the process. It's part of life. You're going to have that big event every year, so we need to plan around for it. So that's something that we actually put in our full financial plan. We will put an expense line item there. Keep in mind that if you spend $10,000 a month today, every year you're going to spend more because your purchasing power goes down. That's that inflation, that nasty little bug inflation that eats away at your purchasing power. So we build that into our financial planning as well. And we work with you year over year to get a feel for what those expenses are going to be. And fortunately, we work predominantly with retirees, so we know what to expect in later stages of life, and those expenses can get large, and we need to set aside money for them.
And you just hit the nail on the head. Number 3, account for common risk factors. You just mentioned inflation, longevity, changes to Social Security. I think that the DIY investors at home, these aren't risk factors that they live through, and that, you know, Chris, you know these inside and out.
Yeah, so let's use Social Security as an example. If somebody comes into the office and they say, I've already done the analysis, they've basically said, okay, the difference, let's say, between triggering at full retirement age, which is 67, and triggering it at 70, if I live to this age, it's break even, and then everything else I get additional if you trigger later. There's more to that analysis than that. You have to understand how are my current financial assets going to support my lifestyle? Will I need Social Security, or am I going to draw down investable assets? An example of that would be if you're using your stock portfolio to generate income, you may be forced to sell stocks when they're going down. We don't want to sell when they're going down. We want to sell some of them when they're going up. So you need to look at the whole picture and understand an income plan. Social Security is a portion of it, but it has to serve you well, and no two individual families necessarily are the same. And there are over 100 different combinations that couples can trigger Social Security on. So we run a full Social Security report. We also take it a step further and we show you a gap analysis. That gap analysis involves if legislation that actually has been proposed goes through and they lower Social Security, we can tell you what your gap would be, and then we can work on where are we going to find a replacement for that gap.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you mentioned at the top that a lot of people think this is all about building your nest egg, but it is so much more than that. You suggest this needs to be a tax diversified nest egg. Why?
Big time. You've got three types of accounts. You've got a tax-deferred account. That's a 401k where you didn't pay any taxes on the front end and it's growing tax-deferred. You have taxable money that you've already paid taxes on and you've invested, and you have tax-free money. Now, of those three, everybody knows what the desire is. We want tax-free money. Well, in the 80s, we didn't have tax-free 401k Roth accounts available to us. We do now. So we work with our clients on what balance should we be using to contribute to pre-tax 401ks versus tax-free 401ks. But the more money we can balance into the tax-free category, the better. One rule of thumb, and it doesn't play out for every couple or every individual, that we use is if you're able to kind of cap your pre-tax IRA amount at $500,000, it's possible to never pay taxes on that money. You didn't pay it going in, and you may not have to pay it when you take it out. But if you go above $500,000, it gets harder and harder and harder to do that. Whether it's Roth conversions or it's using your standard deductions and keeping your income from your IRA pool low enough to avoid taxes altogether. We work with our clients extensively on tax avoidance.
Right. And then last, Chris, you need to decide if you want to leave anything behind, and you can help this with legacy planning.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I would say 50% of my clients say, whoa, 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 no, I'm not leaving all this money to my kids.
And that's okay.
I've raised them, I've fed them, I've clothed them, I've put the roof over their head. They're doing better than I did at their age. So a lot of them want to spend that money in their lifetime. The way I would look at that is do not focus on spending the principal that you have. Your liquid assets right now, your investable assets need to stay secure to generate income for you, and then you use the growth for the extra. And then later stages of life, we can spend the rest.